points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mindell. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show with Dave Manouk. With Ezra Ginsburg, the gang is back together. I'm your host, Drew Mindell, here to discuss the Winnipeg Jets for the first time this season. Having lost 3 regulation time games in a row, a game they led 1-0 until late in the third period. Then they perform a full collapse as the Edmonton Oilers go on to win 3-1 tonight. A huge victory for the Edmonton Oilers, a hard defeat for the Winnipeg Jets, a game that the Oilers really controlled a lot of the contest, and Connor Hellebuyck stood on his head until he didn't, and it ends up with an Oilers 3-1 victory. Gentlemen, good to see you both. Nice to be all back together again for the first time in a few games. An entertaining contest. Look, this is a fun hockey game to watch. You watch a game like tonight's, and it reminds you of all the other games that get played over the course of an 82-game season, where there isn't the same level of emotion and there isn't the same level of sort of dislike on the ice. You felt an energy in the room, you felt an energy in the arena, you felt an energy on the ice. Unfortunately for the Winnipeg Jets, they couldn't bring it home for the hometown fans. Nice to see you both.
Yeah, nice to see you, boys, and thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Yeah, I mean, when you have a 1-goal lead that you're sitting on, and I was telling that to Dave as we were watching this game here in the third period, like, the Jets played pretty well defensively, but there was no insurance goal, right? And then obviously, Darnell Nurse, we'll get into it in the Betway game recap, but that was a bit of a knuckler, bit of the old knuckle puck, as they say, right, Dave? And then obviously, Draisaitl scores the winner on the power play, but I mean, right from puck drop, boys, the Edmonton Oilers had the faster legs, right? Like, the shots, I think it was 5-0 to start the game in the first couple minutes, right, Dave? You were in the building, and Zach Hyman had a really good chance off of rebound from the Evan Bouchard shot. Connor Brown, I made a note of that. He had a good scoring chance in that first period. Obviously, later in the game, I think that was the second period, right, boys? Matthias Janmark had the breakaway shorthanded. So, I mean, that was a big save by Hellebuyck. And look, Hellebuyck was perfect up until that Darnell Nurse knuckler, right? And it's kind of funny, right? I was thinking, like, everybody who watches the show regularly knows I'm a big Devils fan, and sometimes Marty Brodeur would do that, right? Like, Marty Brodeur, the most NHL wins of all time, and sometimes he would let in goals like that. And, I said to Dave, Drew, I wasn't sure if maybe DeMello's stick got a little bit on that Darnell Nurse shot. I'm not sure. But it definitely fooled Hellebuyck because he got a piece of it, right? It hit his glove, and then it, just bounced over his glove. But I mean, that's one of those goals where you would say that he had to be better, and that's a stop that he should have made. But on the other hand, the only reason that game was a 1-goal game was because of Connor Hellebuyck, right?
Right.
So I think, as far as I'm concerned, Hellebuyck was the first star in that game, even though the Jets lost.
Look, Connor Hellebuyck, it's a horrible goal, and we're not used to seeing him give up those goals. But he does, you're right, Ezzy, to your point. He does get a bit of a pass for it.
He's human, right? Like, after all, he is a human being. He's not a goaltending saving robot, right?
Yes, that's correct. He is a human and not a robot. Yes, that's why you come here for that kind of analysis, folks. No question about it.
Well, but Drew, by the way, I don't know if anybody caught Elon Musk talking to Andrew Ross Sorkin, but according to him, we're all going to be robots in 3 years.
That was an interview with a really sane human being right there. That's a guy who's firmly in touch with what's going on.
He's out of his mind.
Oh, I know he's out of his mind. I agree with you.
Wow.
I was like, a lot of rational thoughts were coming out in the course of that interview. It made us look like we make some sense here, Dave. But look, Hellebuyck was the only reason it was still 1-0. You're absolutely right, for the Winnipeg Jets. He was incredible early in that game. In that first 10 minutes of the game, how many glorious chances did the Oilers have where Hellebuyck stood up on? I was listening to Paulie Edmonds. I was in the car for a bit of it, and Paulie said, and I like the line. He said that Hellebuyck isn't standing on his head; he's standing on his ears in keeping the Jets in tonight's contest early on, before the Jets were able to get their skating legs in the latter half of the first period. Look, it's a bad goal to give up, but the better team won tonight. Don't get confused. The Jets had opportunities.
Better team in that game. I still think just for the record, I think what you're saying is the Oilers were better
team in the game.
Not overall. The
sure
Jets
Oilers
are a better team.
You sure the Oilers aren't making the playoffs still there, Ginsburg?
Well, no, not how given how
I still don't
terrible
think
the
they are,
Pacific
but
is.
I mean, winning 4 games in a row helps, right? Like they're going to have to win a couple more games in a row for me to really think that something's changed. But no, I don't think they're making the playoffs.
Really? So it's interesting. With the victory tonight, the Oilers' chances of making the playoffs increased to over 50%, up to 51.
Like honestly, guys, we've got like 3/4 of the season left. First of all, and more importantly, as Spencer would say, what is this, Oilers lunch? Like, come on, we're not here to worry about the Oilers. That's not what this show is all about. Although Hamilton Dave's going to be flying into Winnipeg for the Chicago game, so we'll wish Hamilton Dave a good time here in Winnipeg.
Is Hamilton Dave from Hamilton Dave?
That's a good question. I mean, I presume he is, but I'm not entirely certain. I do know that there's a number of people. We've been receiving messages from folks who will be at this game. So, good luck to Hamilton Dave and Vicious, who says Winnipeg is going to make the playoffs. Well, we'll see. I mean, there's a fairly good chance. The odds, I suspect, if Drew wants to go to, it's
60%. 60% the Jets.
No. Forget the 60% thing. The Jets are making the playoffs for the simple fact of, have you looked at the other teams in the Central Division?
You mean the Nashville Predators, who will never lose again, got absolutely pumped by Minnesota 6-1?
Nashville, I mean, as long as you have UC Saros and net and Roman Josi in the back end, and you've still got Ryan O'Reilly and Philip Forsberg, like Nashville is always going to be a competitive team, Dave. But once you go down the lines, I mean, the Predators' forward depth can't compare with the Jets or the Stars or the Avalanche or the Golden Knights. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Nashville stays competitive up until the end like they do next year. Yeah. But as far as I'm concerned, teams like St. Louis and Minnesota and I mean Chicago, like can you name 5 players on the Blackhawks now that Corey Perry's been released?
Sent to Antarctica?
Aside from Connor Bedard, I mean, I know there's a lot of Jason Dickinson fans out there.
Anthony Beauvillier now. Aren't you excited to see Beauvillier in action on
Anthony
Saturday?
Beauvillier.
It's funny. You trade Beauvillier to make room for Nikita Zadorov. And Vancouver's a good team this year, but I'm just a little bit puzzled why they were so hot to trot with Nikita Zadorov.
Who knows? And we can get into that more, like you said, like Dave said, later on, either on this show or on Saturday's edition of the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. But I think going back to today's game, the Oilers really had the Jets on their heels for a lot of the game. Now, the Jets did have scoring chances, and you wonder, will Kyle Connor in particular, how many sort of scoring chances, scoring chances did he have in that second period, Dave? At least 2 or 3 that I can think of. That
Drew, he had a lot.
If they get a second goal, they very well might win it at that point in time.
He had
given how fragile Edmonton is.
He had back-to-back chances within 20 seconds of and he shot wide. And I mean, he had the one-timer which went wide, and then he had the shot that he took up high that he missed.
And the breakaway.
Yeah,
I'm just posting this, by the way, because this is the longest comment I think we've ever received on the post-game show. This is a full paragraph.
In fact, it's so long, it's actually almost blocking Ezzy out of the chat. But I mean, Ez, you want to share it for the people who are currently
listening on the podcast?
Well,
Kyle says that he watches every game for years now from Nova Scotia. Obviously, hi, Kyle. Thanks for watching the IC post-game show. Dan Robertson, Rick Ralph, many other good people. Morgan Barron, the Barron brothers from Nova Scotia, having to stay up late till midnight up to work for 5:30 a.m. just to support the team. And Kyle was not happy with tonight's effort. It was definitely not worth him staying up and being dead tired tomorrow. Where the hell was Dylan to destroy Ekholm for that nasty hit
It was
on JMO? Sorry, Janmark. Maybe would have fired up the rest of the team. Stupid McDavid with his cry G to the refs. Like I said, it was a long comment.
It was definitely, and we appreciate Kyle's support watching us from Nova Scotia into the wee hours. Look, let's talk about that hit, because that was, I mean, I just don't understand what officials are looking at. And I know that it's a tough sport. To me, it's so bizarre what you can review and what you can't review. Like, why can't you review that? I mean, why can't that be something that gets looked at after the fact? They review everything else. It's just, to me, it's just so arbitrary what they decide you can review and can't review, because they missed the
I see your point, though, Drew, but then I think you're going to get way too many reviews, right? And then like you're a baseball guy, right? Like I don't watch baseball enough, but isn't that a complaint in baseball that there's too many reviews, right?
Look, I don't know what needs to happen to improve NHL officiating. And the Jets, again, so we're clear, didn't lose this game because of the officials. But they just missed so many obvious things that happen on the ice in the course of a game that it makes you wonder, is the game too fast for them? We talked about it. They're humans. They're not robots, just like Connor Hellebuck is a human and not a robot. But is the game just too fast for the average official to process?
So Drew, are you advocating?
It better not be, because
are you advocating for cyborgs?
Players
I don't
to
understand.
slow down. Well, no, and I agree with Drew. Like
maybe there needs to be an off-ice official who plays a more significant role in the course of the game, the play-by-play activities of the game.
There's 2 referees on the ice, though, Drew, and that was obvious. That's the thing. Like, I can understand. Yes, they're human beings. I'm talking about officials; they'll miss things. But I think when it's so egregious like that, that was in the middle. It wasn't in the middle of the ice, but it was in closer to the middle of the zone.
It's not,
and it was obvious that Matthias Janmark, Morrissey didn't have the puck. Yeah. Morrissey didn't see Janmark coming. That's textbook interference. And I think that's what upsets fans, Drew, is that when there's those obvious calls, that's what drives fans nuts. It's one thing if you miss an offside because it's by a hair, right? But when you miss something that's right in front of the official, and that was obvious. And Morrissey, that's the thing with Morrissey. Morrissey's not a guy that complains a lot, if ever. And you could tell he wanted that penalty because it was a penalty. It was a textbook interference penalty on Janmark.
Right. So if it's obvious and it's in the course of the play and it's in the flow of the play, and it's not like this is a one-off mistake that they make. It's game after game after game all throughout the league. So then, what's the definition of insanity?
Watching the show?
Well, that too, but doing the same
Funny,
thing and
Dave.
expecting different results. So maybe there
also
is
being
a role,
on the show.
Well, that too. Maybe there is a role for an off-ice official that can take a sober second thought and look at the game.
So to further the conversation with respect to this, I'm just reading John Liu's tweet on Twitter. He said an official told him he and the Oilers' Janmark ran into each other, which further fueled Morrissey's frustration over what he felt was a blatant pick and interference while the Winnipeg defenseman was trying to defend against Connor McDavid.
Well, okay, so I mean so clearly the officials have a different interpretation.
That's why, for the record, but Drew, let me finish. That's why one official saw it that way.
Right.
There's 4 officials on the ice. So again, one guy getting it wrong, I don't have a problem. But look, they're better. The reason why there's 4 officials on the ice, remember, we all grew up when there were 3.
Yeah.
And, the complaint was, you add another official, you're not going to miss all these calls. And nobody wants to watch a game which is just like penalty after penalty after penalty. But it's no great reward. And by the way, how many times have you seen 3 holding the stick penalties in one game? I mean, that was pretty ridiculous. But again, the whole reason why, because the reality right now is the refs get in the way a lot. They really do. They interfere with the play. And I will give them credit. They are quite good at getting out of the way, but they do ultimately play a role sometimes in the course of a hockey game where they'll interfere with some sort of flow of play. And so if you've got that happening, you're like, okay, but you want to say that balances out by the fact that they're making the right calls more often than not. And we're sitting here watching a game and I'm like, there's 4 officials on the ice. How are you guys missing this stuff? I mean, how many times? And again, I don't care if it's a Jets call or a team that they're playing against. You want the refs to be making the right call. And you're sitting there and we're watching the game. Everybody in the chat is watching the game. Regardless of whether you're a partisan or not, you're watching this game and you're thinking to yourself, you're 10 feet away, you're staring at the play and you're not making a call. So again, it becomes a function of accountability, and there is none. There's none. And so again, and it's funny because we're talking about, the refs making the right calls. Guys, we're watching, we cover a league where they can't even have the technology in the puck to let you know if the puck crosses the line sufficiently, right?
Well, they choose not to have that technology. The technology exists. They just choose not to have it.
Let me just
hasn't that technology existed in tennis for 30 years?
Well, the tennis has the Hawkeye system is what it's called, where it determines if the ball is on the line or not, with the exception of the French Open, because the clay courts don't allow for that technology to be used. I'm putting on my tennis hat here for a second. Yeah. So
is it just, is the clay, is it too wet and is it just too muddy?
I'm not entirely certain why.
What's
the
your
clay
favorite
doesn't
surface
allow
to
for
play
it.
tennis? I feel like you're a hard court guy.
Well,
Drew's
I mean,
definitely
again,
a clay guy.
in
I
in
feel like you
in
like
Winnipeg,
the grass too.
in Winnipeg, there weren't very many options. Although like it's not the Unicity Racket Club anymore, but that's when I grew up, the Taylor Tennis Club was the Unicity Racket Club. They do have clay courts, but as far as I know, they're the only place in Winnipeg that has clay courts. As we
When Drew
quickly
was young, they
digress.
used to play like instead of tennis balls, they just had frozen manure.
Those are called road apples, as the Tragically Hip have an album about it. You might want to look into it. But we digress
great
here
album.
on the illegal backhand tennis show. Look, all sorts. Getting back to the actual on ice play tonight, the Winnipeg Jets have scored 3 goals in their last 3 games. So if you really want to look for a reason why this team has lost 3 in a row for the first time this season in regulation, is the fact that they just haven't been scoring enough. You only score 1 goal, you're not going to win very many hockey games. We said this different times last year as well. Now, getting Gabe Vilardi back and getting him back up to speed, I think will be an important boost to this team. But you can see right now that, all this talk about, well, the Jets can't mess with the lines, and we'll discuss this more on Saturday's Illegal Curve Hockey Show when we have more time to delve deeper into it. Well, I think that is not something that is true anymore, because the team is struggling right now to score goals. I mean, you can't score against Edmonton. I'm pretty sure that earlier in the year, the 3 of us could score against Edmonton.
Well, you have to disrupt at least 2 of the lines when a player comes back, right? If you think about it, I mean, especially, when it's I mean, we're not surprised that Gabe Vilardi started off in the 4th line. It's only a matter of time before he's going to be back, in a top 6 role. I think he's going to be on the 2nd line wing, and obviously, we'll have to talk about they didn't score a goal necessarily, but I think Connor Scheifele Ehlers, I mean, it has to be. I mean, the power play goal was assisted by Scheifele, but you know what I mean. They didn't score at 5-on-5, but that's a line we've been talking about for how many years now, guys, right? And Brick Bonus used this opportunity to put them together. It's my opinion that I don't think you do that unless you're planning on sticking with that line, right? Because if you weren't, then you just bump Iafallo down. Or maybe you bump Nemesnikov down, right, Dave? And then, Vilardi goes right back into the top 6 immediately. But as Drew mentioned on Saturday morning show, you want to ease Vilardi in a little bit. I just thought that was a little bit curious that with Vilardi coming back, Ehlers was moved up to the top line. But I do think that, Vilardi will be back in that top 6 probably as early as next game against Chicago.
I mean, I think Ehlers was back on the top line because he sort of gave the Jets a bit of a spark on Tuesday night against the Dallas Stars. You're looking for somebody, to get Scheifele and Connor going, because when they were with Iafallo, the results were beginning to tail off. And
we talked about that with Garrett Hole. I mean, if you look at 5-on-5 impact, like the differential between expected goals for and expected goals against. I'm trying to sound fancy here. I guess that's why they call them
fancy guy, Drew.
But I mean, that line was not particularly good at 5-on-5, and obviously Connor Scheifele Ehlers, when they have been together in a small sample size, they have been very good at 5-on-5.
Yeah, look, the Connor Scheifele Ehlers line, earlier in the game was the most dangerous line for the Jets. They were the only possession positive line for the vast majority of the game for the Jets. By the time the 3rd period wrapped up, they weren't possession positive anymore, but they were still the best Jets possession line of the 4 that were in.
Joe from Winnipeg's not buying it, Drew.
Okay, that's fine. There's room for everybody, room for all sorts of opinions here on the Illegal Curve bus here.
I don't know if I'm fully behind it if Joe's not behind it.
The Jets were badly outplayed tonight. They were badly outplayed by Edmonton. I mean, you can't tell. The Jets' possession numbers were 32%. I mean, that's for a Jets team at 5-on-5 that had been playing better hockey and had been better at 5-on-5 than a lot of the teams they've been playing against. Well, I'd say the last 2 weeks now, getting close to the last couple weeks, maybe the last week, I'll be charitable. They have not been good 5-on-5. They have not been good possession-wise. They need to find what had been working for them earlier when they were on that hot streak and find out, how to get back to that, and that starts Saturday. I mean, look, you're in a fortunate position that you have the Chicago Blackhawks coming to town on Saturday, and the Chicago Blackhawks.
That'll be a win.
I don't need to tell anybody the Chicago Blackhawks aren't a very good hockey team. They lost today to the Detroit Red Wings handily, and there's no reason for
the Patrick Kane revenge game, Drew.
Well, I mean, I don't know if Kane played. Kane didn't play for the Red Wings yet, as he's still, I think, a week or two away on that one. But look, the Jets should be able to take advantage of a weak Chicago Blackhawks team. But it's not like the schedule gets any easier right after that. Who do you got coming in on Monday?
Colorado.
You got the Carolina,
Yeah.
Carolina Hurricanes, and then you go to Colorado.
Yeah.
So the Jets don't have.
And then
a
you've
big
got
window.
Colorado later back at home.
Yeah, on the 16th of December, you have Colorado. So you got Colorado twice.
Who do the Jets play on February 11th, Drew?
I don't know, Ezzy. You'll have to wait. I'll have to look that up for you and let you know. But Dave, I mean, there's not a lot of time for the Jets to sort of right their ship right now. They have to find out, get their lines back to how they want them, and find out how they're going to get back to being a possession positive team and a team that can score goals. Because 3 in 3 games is not sufficient. It doesn't matter who you're playing against.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say that was Rick Bonus using an alias in the chat, but obviously Bick Ronus put it very succinctly, as I just didn't. But it's 3 goals in 3 games. I mean, that's not good enough. You're not winning many games like that. And look, it looked like one would be enough, but I mean, that was the part of the problem, right? The Jets just didn't push hard enough when they had the chance to really take advantage of opportunities. And you got to give Stuart Skinner credit. I thought he was very good in net for the Oilers, and he's played, I think that was his 5th straight game. So he's been the man in Edmonton during this current streak that they're on. But I mean, look, yeah, you're right, Drew. I mean, at the end of the day, like, you even the 6-on-5, I mean, the Jets just didn't have it, and to me, like, Edmonton's got the puck in the Jets' end, and you're the team that's down by a goal and you're trying to tie the game. And what's going on here? You're chasing the Oilers around. So, I mean, I thought that the Jets, I don't know what it was. Like, it was funny because the first 2 periods of that game had really good energy. And even though it was just when it was a 0-0 or then be 1-0. And when it was, throughout the 40 minutes, I thought it was an excellent hockey game. I really did. I thought the energy was good from both teams. I thought it was an exciting game. It had a lot of, it did have I'm not going to say playoff feel, but it kind of felt
a buzz.
There was a bit of a buzz, and maybe that's because
is it not as simple, Dave, as what Drywall Man's comment is saying, right? Like, it just seemed like they were. First off, the Oilers were dictating the pace. We talked about it. They came out on fire. The McDavid, Hyman, Nugent, Hopkins lines was excellent tonight. Like, I'm not saying that the Lowry line when they were matched up against them didn't do a good job, because we were talking about it, Dave. Right? Like, we both said DeMello and Morrissey always seem to bring out their best against the Oilers. Right? Just go back 3 years. In the bubble when the Jets swept the Oilers, right? But it just seemed like this game, it was too much. It was too passive, right? And yes, if the Jets scored on one of those power plays, then they get the insurance goal and they probably win this game 2-0 or 2-1. But at 5-on-5, to Drew's point, the numbers don't lie. I mean, the Scheifele, Connor, Ehlers line was great tonight, but aside from that, who else was providing a lot of offense tonight? Nobody really.
No, not a lot. That's the problem with the Jets right now, is that their offense is struggling. And when you only score a goal a game, it puts a lot of pressure on Connor Hellebuyck, and he kept the Jets in it for over 50 minutes of tonight's game, and then let in a bit of a stinker, and that ultimately proved to be what did the Jets in after the Oilers ended up winning it with the power play goal. We'll get into it all as we get going here on the post-game show, the Illegal Curve post-game show. That is, it is the Betway game recap.
The Betway game recap.
Big thanks to our friends at Betway for their sponsorship of the Illegal Curve post-game show. Betway is the sports betting app that puts you, the customer, at the forefront. It has a large selection of betting options in sports, as well as strong promotions and fair odds. Head on over to Betway and bet your way. Please play responsibly. That is the important part as well. So we mentioned no scoring in that first period of tonight's contest, and largely thanks to Connor Hellebuyck and his heroics. I misspoke already. The Jets did open the scoring in the first period. I got confused for a second there. It came at the 18:27 mark. If it hadn't been for Connor Hellebuyck up to that point, the Oilers would have had a multiple goal lead, but Hellebuyck was outstanding early in the game, which allowed the Jets to open the scoring. Cole Perfetti, his 8th of the year, assist to Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor. It comes on the power play for the Winnipeg Jets. They win a face-off, which was rare because they did not win very many face-offs in tonight's game, and you heard Rick Bonus talk about that in his post-game comments said that the Jets' inability to win faceoffs tonight was a difference maker in his mind. But the Jets win this faceoff, and Scheifele is able to feather the very nice slap pass onto Cole Perfetti's stick, and Perfetti redirects it behind Stuart Skinner right from the top of the goal crease to give the Jets a 1-0 lead late in the first period, Ezzy.
There's not much more you can break down than what you just said, Drew, right? Like Cole Perfetti just has good positioning. It was Ekholm and Nurse who were back there, I believe, and they're whipping the puck around pretty well. We know that the Jets power play, has been a little hot and cold as of late, more so cold, as opposed to, maybe that stretch where the Jets were getting a point in every single game except when they played Dallas.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just good. Scheifele puts a good shot on net, and Perfetti's right there. Like he's right on Stuart Skinner's doorstep. And Connor and Scheifele were I thought, moving the puck really well tonight on the power play. We talked about the Jets had, they have 3 power plays tonight, or they had 4, but they had chances. Like the power play, even when they're not scoring, is looking good, as opposed to earlier in the season. The power play was just looking slower, and they were kind of making 1 or 2 extra passes. But yeah, this is just a nice goal, and Cole Perfetti, keeps up the his strong start to the season. But yeah, that was just it was a nice power play goal, and they needed that at that point in the game. I agree with Drew. We talked about Zach Hyman had a scoring chance early in the game. Connor Brown had a scoring chance. Evan Bouchard had, I think, 3 shots in that first period. Connor McDavid had a scoring chance in that first period. Like the Jets had a 1-0 lead late in the first period when the Oilers could have easily had the 2-0 lead or 3-0 lead.
No question about it, Dave. Face-offs in tonight's game, Oilers just even strength face-offs, even strength. Forget about power play, forget about penalty kill face-offs. The Oilers won 76% of the face-offs in tonight's game, and I know that there's
that's a problem. I don't care what you say. That's a problem, Drew. Like you got to be at least above 40%.
It's got to be 60-40. It's got to be a couple when it's. I know that there's a differing of opinions, and God help us, we all know there's differing of opinions on the social media platforms about the importance of face-offs. But I would say that, yeah, you don't necessarily want to have a guy in your lineup who the only thing he can do is take face-offs. That's probably too one-dimensional. But as a team, 76%, so 3/4 of the draws being won by one team, is too significant of a gap. If it's 60-40, well, really, what are you talking about? Over the course of 100 faceoffs, you're talking about a small number that are going to be the difference one way or the other. But in tonight's game, the fact that on 76% of the faceoffs, the Oilers regained or retained possession at even strength, that's too much of a gap. The Jets, the players who are taking the draws, we know who takes the majority of the draws for the Jets. Adam Lowry was 3 of 16 tonight in the face-off circle. It's got to be a source of pride for you to win face-offs, and to only win 3 out of the 16 that you had is just not good enough, Dave.
Well, it's
McDavid
true.
was 89%, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Oilers, handed the Jets, as you said, Drew, in the faceoff circle, the Jets didn't have a chance. And look, you can say that it's not a big deal, but when you're not starting basically almost every shift with the puck, that's a problem. Yeah. Especially given an Oilers team that shows how talented they are. Let's be realistic. Connor Hellebuyck was excellent, but the Jets also got lucky, right? There were a number of instances where the puck goes off the backboard, hits Connor Hellebuyck, and it stays wide as opposed to going into the back of the net, right? There were a number of opportunities where pucks.
Didn't Evan Bouchard hit the crossbar as well?
Well, there was a post.
He had 6 shots on goal, and it looked like he was in a firing range for a while there.
Bouchard hit the post in the second period. I might be mistaken. Maybe
Hellebuyck got a little bit with his glove, and then he put it off the post as he. Yeah. But look, at the end of the day, you're right, Drew. It's a problem. It was a problem against Edmonton, and it's a problem because. I'm going to harp on this a little bit, but at the end of the game, when you're down by a goal and you don't start with the possession of the puck, and then not only that, you're actively chasing it, and Edmonton's holding the puck in your end, right? And you're the team that's supposed to be putting pressure on 6-on-5, and you're not doing that. So again, it's a problem with the faceoffs for sure. And I mean, I don't know what the face-off numbers have looked like of late, and I'm not expecting you to have that, right on hand, Drew, but
Right.
Spency, you are very late. But regardless of that, we're not holding that against you. But the Jets, the Jets are up 1-0 on a nice play, a nice power play goal by Winnipeg, and credit Cole Perfetti for getting to the right spot, and Mark Scheifele for the excellent pass. He's up to 17 assists already on the season. So, I mean, the energy in the building was good. Again, like I said, biggest crowd of the season for the Jets. Still not a big one. We were on press row. We were guessing. I was wrong. I went over Ezzy. It was, I guess, 14-1. So I would have yodeled my way right off the hill. But
so hard to guess, right? Because especially when it's closer to the start of the period, right? Like you have to wait until kind of midway through the period, right, to make your guess. But even then, Dave, it's pretty hard to be within 100 or 200 fans.
Yeah, no.
Used to be a lot easier when every game was a sellout.
That is true. But look, I mean, it was a good game, and the Jets had chances. I mean, as folks have listed here, I mean, Kyle Connor had opportunities, and maybe all the Kyle Connor is the greatest scorer in the history of the game. Now needs to he's cooled off a little bit, of course, and
hasn't scored in the last 4.
Yeah, so I mean that's my point. So he's cooled off, and the team's cooled off. Not just Kyle Connor. I mean, the whole team is when you've only had 3 goals in your last 3 games, that means a lot of guys aren't scoring goals. And so that's, and Connor Hellebuck, as good as he's been, I mean, how many saves did he make on the night? 36?
Hellebuck made 36, 37 if you consider that the empty net goal, shouldn't count against him. But so 36 of 38 is where he was.
Yeah. I was going to say the empty net goal doesn't count against him. He was
right.
So 36 saves. So I mean, look, he let in a bad goal, but at the end of the day, he was still phenomenal. I mean, guys, there were 3 Oilers shots that were pretty good within the first minute of the game, where they could have taken a lead, and Hellebuck was strong. And as Ezzy said, there were a number of other saves that Hellebuck made throughout the course of this hockey game that, showed that how good he is. So, you're sitting there going, okay, Connor Hellebuck's playing that well, but you knew, I don't know how you guys felt, but watching that game, and the Jets are only up 1-0 when they're not burying those chances, that it's only a matter of time with McDavid and Draisaitl and Hyman and Kane and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. It was just a matter of time before Edmonton was getting back into that hockey game if the Jets were unable to capitalize. If the Jets make it 2-0, the way they were playing, I felt that they could have locked it down, because I thought, and just to, again, not related to the goal but I after 40 minutes of play, I thought Dylan DeMello had an excellent game. And I know obviously that first goal against is a tough one. But until that point, really, which is 13 minutes into the third period or over 13 minutes, I thought Dylan DeMello was excellent in that hockey game.
I'm telling you, he always elevates his game against Edmonton. It just seems like he's that, you're right, Dave. I agree with you. DeMello is, he's just an excellent defenseman. He's been good all year. He was good last year. And I expect, nothing less than, a strong performance from him. And to Dave's point, when Evander Kane took that cross-checking penalty, which looked very familiar to when he used to play for the Jets and take those stupid
undisciplined offensive zone penalty.
Yeah, it was just there was no need to cross-check DeMello there. And that's what Dave's saying. The score's 1-0 at that point. It's late in the second period. And I forget who it was. Didn't Iafallo have a really good chance, Dave? To the left of, I seem to remember the left of Skinner. There was a shot, and then Iafallo, there was a rebound.
Yeah, the puck sat there for a second.
It was a good power play for the Jets. They had chances. And that was the type of game, the way Hellebuck was playing, if you have a 2-goal lead or even a 3-goal lead going into the second period, most likely the Oilers aren't tying that game up. So, yeah, when you let a team stick around, and like Drew said, Hellebuck was perfect for the first, whatever it was, 50 minutes, 51 minutes, whenever Darnell Nurse scored. And then all of a sudden, then Gabe Vilardi takes that, holding the stick penalty. And then all of a sudden, Draisaitl scores. It's 2-1 in a game which looked like the Jets were going to hang on for a 1-0 lead. So, yeah, it's always dangerous to cling to a 1-0 lead, especially when you're playing McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, and everybody else.
Yeah, it's especially dangerous to not possess the puck against those guys, and that's where the Jets failed miserably into the course of tonight's game.
Possessing the puck is important in hockey, Drew.
Yes, it is. It's one of those important things in hockey, especially against a talented lineup like the Oilers bring forth. But the Jets did have that 1-0 lead after 20 minutes. They had that 1-0 lead after 40 minutes. They will certainly rue that it wasn't more than 1-0 after Kyle Connor had a number of great opportunities in that second period. And then, as we've talked about on the post-game show, we say good evening to everyone who's joining us for the Illegal Curve post-game show. An unexpected goal with 6 minutes and 49 seconds to go. Darnell Nurse, his 4th of the year, assist to Ryan McLeod and Matthias Janmark. It's just a bad goal given up by Connor Hellebuck. I don't know if the puck dipped on him or if he just misplayed it. He looked reminiscent of Dave or yours truly misplaying a fly ball in the field in one of our softball games. Just misjudged it. It kicked off the heel of his glove and over his arm and then into the net, and you could just feel the sag that occurred at that point in time. And the Oilers, a team always in need of a break, got one there to tie it up. And then there just was a question, would the Jets be able to find another gear to get back into the game, or if they were just going to struggle for the remainder of the minutes in tonight's contest. I'm not sure what happened to Dave, but hopefully we'll get him back momentarily as just a bad goal given up by Connor Hellebuck. In
what happened there, Dave?
I have no idea. I didn't do anything. I literally didn't touch. I didn't touch anything. I was like, in fact, I was watching the goal again, so I was not really paying attention to you guys. I was listening to Drew, but I was like, well, I assumed Drew was going to Ez, so I'm like, okay,
if you need to take a pee break or something, Dave, feel free.
I didn't go anywhere. I literally was like, I didn't even know. In fact, I didn't even know anything was wrong because I wasn't actually on the. I was watching the goal just to be, clear in what I saw and get a kind of a refresh. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, I hear Drew say, I don't know where Dave went. I'm like, Dave didn't go anywhere. Dave's right here.
Dave's not here, man.
And Drew,
not
to your
here,
point,
man.
Yeah, exactly. Free Dave. Shout out to Garrick. Met Garrick when he used to be a bartender back in the day at Confusion Corner. So shout out to Garrick.
Oh, Ezzy, you've been in a bar before? We had no idea. That's new.
Yeah.
That's breaking news here on the show.
Well, you saw me on TV, Drew. I had a beer in my hand. It only cost $19 too.
It was a bargain. Anyways, the Darnell Nurse goal, it's just, not much to analyze. They're just a bad goal. It's just a bad goal that Connor Hellebuck gave up there, and the Jets weren't able to lift their goalie. That's what you don't like, sort of. Your goalie, Connor Hellebuck, who is your all-world goalie, who does so much to keep you in most of your games. You want to see the team be able to respond to him giving up that bad goal, and they weren't able to do so, Dave. And then Zach Hyman makes it 2-1. On the power play with the Gabe Velarde in the box for holding the stick. And you're absolutely right. I don't know when the last time there were 3 holding the stick penalties in one single game. But Zach Hyman with 2 minutes and 13 seconds to go. You know what? It's really weird. I'm looking at you're right. It's Draisaitl.
I think myself
it said Hyman for some reason on my game summary, the sheet that the NHL from NHL.com. But you're right.
Are we breaking down the Darnell Nurse goal still, or are we going to the Draisaitl?
No, it's Draisaitl. I don't know the internet glitched there for a second. Draisaitl, you're absolutely right. Assist to McDavid and Evan Bouchard, and it's a goal scorer's goal because it's a bad angle, but it's just such an absolute blistering shot. So much so that it is our Seagram shot of the game.
The Seagram shot of the game.
I would give the Seagram shot of the game to Tristan Jarry of the Pittsburgh Penguins for scoring a goalie goal, but I'm not sure about the rules and regulations about us showing a goal off of somebody's Twitter feed and how that might violate YouTube protocols. So instead of showing that for the Seagram shot of the game,
it's okay, Drew. Elon likes us.
Yeah, I'll give it to. I don't know. It's not an Elon thing, but I'll give it to Leon Draisaitl with an absolute bullet of a shot, the game-winning goal in tonight's game.
Yeah, and look, you can see that Connor Hellebuck is aware of the fact that it's Connor McDavid who has the puck, and he's got to be very self-conscious of his ability to score. And I mean, 97 looked dangerous. 97 looked ornery throughout the course of the evening. I think the Jets were getting under his skin quite a bit. He was reacquainting himself with Neil Pionk and a few others. Took a shot at poor Vlad Nemestikov irritated him. He took a little bit of a headshot run at him. I think that was in the second period. No call there. But I mean, look, it's a beautiful pass, and Draisaitl's got such a good shot. Like Connor Hellebuck didn't love the way he played it, but again, I'm not exactly a goaltending expert, so I'm not going to pretend like I can tell you exactly how he should have done it. It just seemed like just the way he got over just left that space, and so as a result, Draisaitl, who has an all-world shot, I mean, the guy can score 50 goals sleeping. He puts it into the back of the net, and you felt that, like, you know what? And again, whether you like the holding the stick penalty on Velarde or not, I mean, it's a tight game, and the Oilers were bringing a lot of pressure, right? They, like you said, Drew, they Jets have given up this goal late in the game. Well, with just under 7 minutes to go, and the Oilers are pushing, they're pressuring, and so the Jets are breaking, and they're bending significantly, and then they're breaking, and so from that perspective, you don't love that they went to the penalty kill with, like I said, with what it was 3:49 left in the third period, but at the same time, there were chances. Dylan DeMello had a chance when the puck was initially driven into the Jets zone to clear it, doesn't get it out, and then again, there's just too much space for a guy like Leon Draisaitl. But it's like a pick your poison. You leave Connor McDavid open to cover Leon Draisaitl, and then you're leaving a guy who can score a goal on a dime. So I mean, it's a tough choice, and unfortunately for the Jets, they end up giving up one and being down 2-1.
Just one more thing about that goal, Drew. Like, Draisaitl was a beast in this game. Pardon me, in the period. I didn't think he was actually, that great in the first couple periods, but he starts that off, right? Like, he brings the puck in and draws attention from DeMello and Dylan. And you're right. Like, McDavid is the one who eventually passes the puck over to Draisaitl, but Hellebuck is completely set if Connor McDavid shoots the puck. But like you said, like, it was like he was just leaning a little bit. I still don't know how Draisaitl gets that puck in. And if I was just watching the replay, like, even Draisaitl, I think, was surprised that he got that puck through Hellebuck, just because of the angle. And it's not like Hellebuck had to move, but he was, as you said, Dave, he had to respect McDavid's shot. And I don't know if it's, just a question of he doesn't get over quick enough, or he's kind of, falling and leaning a little bit. He just looked like he was in a bit of an awkward, the way he moved there was a little bit awkward. And again, Hellebuck, I mentioned this at the top, in the first 10 minutes of the show. Hellebuck, I thought, was the first star of this game. Like, he was the only reason, this was a 1-0 game late in the third period. So I just want to, qualify that. But, that's a shot that he has to stop.
You want him to stop it. I think I agree with that, but at the same time, it's also such an incredible shot that only a player like Leon Draisaitl can pull off. I mean, it can be both. It can be both one that you think that he's in position to make the stop on, or close enough that he's in position to make the stop on because he anticipated it well. But at the same time, it can also be that somehow that incredible shot eludes him to make it 2-1 and ultimately give the Oilers the 3-1 victory after the Jets weren't able to muster anything with the net empty. They weren't able to even get any zone time of any significance. So kudos to the Oilers, not known for being a defensive juggernaut, in really being able to shut down the Winnipeg Jets. And after the Jets had some chances in that second period, the chances were, I would say, very few and far between in the third period, a period that the Oilers won, and a game that the Oilers were desperate to win, and that they did ultimately win, Dave.
Well, for sure. And again, I don't want to gloss over the lack of urgency in that 6-on-5 situation, because I just didn't like the way the Jets played the last couple of minutes of that game. I mean, you're down and you're trying to push, and that's a game that you should feel like, regardless of which team deserved to win. Connor Hellebuck gave you enough in that hockey game to at least get a point. And so you, like you said, Drew, you want to see the Jets pick him up. He's played phenomenal for you throughout the course of that game. Lets in a bad goal, but ultimately, how does the team respond? Do they get that next goal to tie the, to not necessarily tie it, because obviously at that point it was 1-1. But when you're down 2-1, do you have the, and I mean, if I'm Rick Bowness, especially with the way the guys were lagging a little bit, maybe use your time out there to give your guys a little bit of a rest, a little chance to get their legs back. Because I mean, we saw it with Nikolai Ehlers. I mean, I wasn't sure if he was hurt or if he just had nothing left, because like with I don't know, it was like 39 seconds left to go. He's just standing in the Jets zone. He's not moving. And then he's got the puck.
They're just gassed. He's been
understand
on the
that,
ice
but
for too long.
So then get off the ice.
Well,
Like, you know, again, like, no, because again, that's the arrogance or whatever you want to call it for not choosing, thinking that you're good enough when you're gassed better than the guy who's got a little bit left in the tank.
Dave, did Drew call you babe?
I don't think so.
I hope not.
I probably said Dave, and it may have sounded like Babe, but I'm fairly certain I've never called Dave Babe, and I don't think
I would hope not.
Start calling you Babe at this point in time either.
No, you don't got me, babe. So, anyways, the point is that I mean, you just want to see the Jets play that a little different, and whether it's different personnel or just again a better result from and you credit the Oilers because the Oilers were hungry. And the Oilers are desperate also. I mean, look, you talked about it. Sure, their playoff aspirations are better. And again, we talked about this. I don't know if it was the last post-game show or it was the Saturday show. The Pacific stinks. So it's not as if like it's a, what do they have to do? They have to catch Calgary. Like and again, Vegas has been in trouble and Shea Theodore had the surgery. So he's, done, he's week to week. So you've got a pretty weak Pacific division. And if Connor McDavid can heat up, which he has, and these guys are going, I mean, I think Edmonton's going to be fine ultimately. But again, this isn't Oilers lunch now that Spency's in the chat and we can make that joke and he'll be here to hear it. But you just want to
winning 4 games in a row definitely helps. But like you said, Dave, like to me, going back to what Drew said about this 3-game losing streak, what absolutely sticks out is the lack of goal scoring. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. I mean, the Dallas Stars came in here and the Jets had some really good scoring chances, but I think you could just really break that down to, Jake Ottinger was just feeling it. He was in the zone. That was a close game. The Nashville game was a close game. This was a close game. And that's why I'm not too worried. Yes, they have Chicago coming up.
Ezzy, the Jets, look, the Oilers are not known for their defense. And
this was the most one-sided of the 3 losses for sure.
Yeah, I would
in terms of possession, in terms of shots, like what were the shots? 37-26. The possession was at 5-on-5 was heavily in expected goals were heavily in the Oilers' favor. But I'm just saying, like, the Jets were not badly outplayed by Dallas. They weren't badly outplayed by Nashville. I'm not that worried that, I mean, there's bad 3-game losing streaks and then there's good 3-game losing streaks, I guess, if you want to look at it like that. Like the Jets won 5, they won 5 games in a row and they were 11-2-2 in their previous 15 games. The Jets are still 3rd in the Central. Like, let's not get too carried away here.
The sky isn't falling, but the Jets mustered all of 18 shots at 5-on-5 against the Edmonton Oilers. I mean, that's not good enough. That's not, I mean, they made the Oilers look,
you're right.
They made the Oilers look like a good defensive team. The Oilers are not a good defensive team, and the Oilers played well, and they get credit. But it's not like all of a sudden with a new head coach, they've become the 1970 Montreal, the 70s Canadians or anything.
The thing that is different about this game, Drew, that we haven't seen really all year, except for maybe against the LA in the LA game, or maybe in that first loss to Dallas, is that the Scheifele Connor Ehlers line was really the only line that had anything going at 5-on-5.
Right.
And that's concerning because I think, one thing to bring up, and I'd like to get, your takes and everybody in the chat as well. Like Lowry, Appleton, and Niederreiter, when they're strictly playing a defensive checking role, I mean, it obviously limits their offense. And to me, that line was badly outplayed by the McDavid, Nugent Hopkins, Hyman line, right? So the third line wasn't doing much. The second line wasn't doing much. And obviously, Morgan Barron, Gabe Velarde, Axel Jonsson-Fjallby, I mean, they're only going to play, like, what did they play tonight? Maybe 8 minutes each or something like that. So you're not expecting much in a game like that out of the fourth line, but you're not going to win a lot of games when you only have really one line doing anything.
Yeah, and the Jets didn't take any advantage. Look, Warren Fogle, Ryan McLeod, and Sam Gagner and his 2 artificial hips possessed the puck 83% of the time. They had against the.
Drew, you're going in for your artificial hip surgery next week, aren't you?
And then my hockey career will end at that point in time. So kudos to Sam Gagner for bouncing back and still being an effective player. But the
Winnipeg 2 artificial hips?
No, he doesn't. I'm being my usual ass of a
one,
self. No, he doesn't have any artificial hips. He just had hip surgery.
My grandfather had 2 artificial hips.
Okay. How was his hockey
Grandpa
career?
Mervyn
Did he have a pony?
Who would expect an immigrant to have a pony? Who would expect Illegal Curve to still have an audience? These are all very good questions that we don't know the answer to on this edition of the Illegal Curve post-game show. The Winnipeg Jets defeated by the Edmonton Oilers, a 3-1 margin of victory tonight on home ice for the Oilers on road ice in Winnipeg.
Shout out to Dan Milburn. His mom's getting a new hip.
Oh, congratulations to Dan. I hope the surgery goes well for your mom getting a new hip. Want to remind everybody about what's coming up next Thursday. That's 1 week from today. Celebrate the holidays with Illegal Curve. We're going to be live at Boston Pizza, Taylor Avenue. That is on the corner of Taylor and Nathaniel. Look for the giant statue of Ezzy Ginsburg nearby, and that'll be your where you need to go. We'll be at Boston Pizza Taylor. Come watch the Jets and Colorado Avalanche with us next Thursday. The game time is 8 o'clock. We're going to be there after 7:30, and then stay with us there for an Illegal Curve, a live on location broadcast of the Illegal Curve post-game show. That's next Thursday. Celebrate the holidays with us. Celebrate the holidays with your fellow friends of Illegal Curve. We look forward to having drink specials, food specials, and prizes galore. That's going to be next Thursday at Boston Pizza on Taylor Avenue.
We're going to light the candle, boys.
It's the first night of Hanukkah as well.
Yep.
So, come join us. The miracle of oil, the miracle of Illegal Curve, whatever other sacrilegious things I can say before somebody pulls the plug on this program. We'll be there next Thursday, December 7th, Boston Pizza, Taylor Avenue. We hope that you all will join us there as well. It's going to be a great time. When we come back on the Illegal Curve post-game show, some of the post-game comments, Tough Duck hardest hitting comment, more to come, plus whatever nonsense we come up with. It's a Thursday night. Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg with you. We're live on the Illegal Curve post-game show.
Your coworkers love you because you always make them laugh. You're the life of the party with stories that have them rolling on the floor. Or maybe you're just the quiet one in the corner with the one-liners that just slay. Do you have what it takes to become Winnipeg's funniest person with a day job? Try your luck. Hit the stage at Rumors Comedy Club, and you could be walking away with $1,000 cash. Winnipeg's funniest person with a day job. Presented by Rumors. For all the details, head to rumorscomedyclub.com.
So you're a pizza person, you married a wing person, but somehow your kids are salad people. You can't pick your fam, but you can pick your BP meal deal, starting from $18.99 for takeout or delivery at bostonpizza.com.
The game can change just like that. Accidents happen when you aren't protected. So now what? Getting to your injury quickly can make all the difference. Help prevent them from being game changers with Linden Market Dental Center. Bonding, crowns, bridges, and dental implants. State-of-the-art treatments are available to help you get back in the game. To learn more, visit lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rollies Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
Boston Pizza harnessed Fanalytics to test if the game is better at home or at Boston Pizza. The results are irrefutable. Catch the game at Boston Pizza, powered by Fanalytics.
For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. Welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg with you. It's a Thursday night. Here's what we want to remind you about. Saturday morning, the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, 9 a.m. back here on our trusty YouTube channel.
We've already got Mikey McIntyre confirmed, Drew.
There you go. Mike McIntyre of the Winnipeg Free Press is set to join us at the bottom of hour number 1, so you can look forward to that. We'll be talking about the Jets and the Blackhawks, getting you set for Saturday afternoon's matinee affair. And, of course, after the Jets and the Blackhawks, we are going to have the Illegal Curve post-game show. That'll be right around 4:45 p.m., somewhere in that vicinity on Saturday afternoon, talking about another battle of the Connors as the Jets welcome Bedard to town for the first time as a member of the Blackhawks. Dave M., you are giving me the finger point. What does that mean?
I was going to say a little tease here, if you will, but hopefully in a few Saturdays, we haven't narrowed down an exact date, but hopefully in a few days we will be. That's a good, exactly, Drew. The IC beer will be at the Farmery retail location at 2 Donald. So you can come down on a Saturday morning. You are unable to make
the beer is always there, but we're going to be there in a few weeks' time.
That's
what
right.
You're saying.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. So hopefully we're angling for in a couple of weeks. One of the December shows, we'll do a Saturday morning show. You can come meet us there, open at 9:00, which coincidentally is when the Illegal Curve Hockey Show is supposed to start. So unless Ezzy and I are late, but otherwise,
and we recommend people buy IC beer and drink it at between 9 and 11. It's not like, people are like, it's a little bit early to drink. It's never too early to drink. Okay.
Exactly. So as I was going to say, that the point is, we'll know probably by early next week when that show will be, and I will let you guys know, and there'll be some specials and all that thing. But yeah, if you want to give it, you can always drink the IC beer before that, as he said, 2 Donald Street, our friends at Farmery. So and we're going to have some fun stuff to come. So stay tuned to our socials, their socials, Ezzy's socials, whatever you got to do. But it'll be fun. We're coming away at the IC beer, 2 Donald Street. Farmery.
Obviously, we want everyone to drink the Farmery Light IC beer, but Naomi picked up the Farmery Pink Kiss beer. Mm-hmm. It's similar to, I guess, kind of like the Pink Whitney. It's vodka and pink lemonade or grapefruit juice, whatever it is. It's pink. Can
you just promise me you never say the words Pink Kiss again?
It's the name of the drink. Okay. Farmery Pink Kiss.
Something about the way you say it. I don't know. It's something about the way you say Pink Kiss doesn't do it for me.
Pink Kiss.
Yeah, exactly. That's not helping matters. It's just making it a little bit worse. I'm sure it's a delicious drink.
Kiss. Pinkus.
Anyways, IC will be doing a show at the retail location, not the not the Riding Mountain retail location. Hopefully, maybe we'll do one this summer. Yeah, but for now, we'll be focused on the Winnipeg location at 2 Donald.
There you go. So you can look forward to that.
Especially for those who like those types of drinks. Try the Farmery Pink Kiss. I don't know if we have anybody in the chat that's tried it, but it's very nice, very delicious on ice. Pink Kiss.
Hold on. I think this is the best comment by Voice of Fire. I joined at a weird time. Voice of Fire, I'll be honest with you. Anytime is a weird time here on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. We literally started the show with some bizarre segue. So I mean, we're whether it's the beginning, the end, the middle, it's always a weird time.
Voice of Fire, don't be afraid. You're in a safe space. You're always in a safe space when Illegal Curve and Spencer are here.
Okay, let's wrap this up. Before we do, we'll do the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment.
The Tough Duck hardest hitting comment.
What do you got for me, Ginsburg?
All right, we got some really good comments here. Appreciate everybody joining us tonight on a beautiful Thursday night. Gonna give it to Drywall Man. Drywall Man, I think he might have won last year, but he's always got some good comments, so I've got it up there. This team goes on a 5-game winning streak, and they say, wow, we are winning too much, and then go on a 3-game losing streak. Sounds like this team needs to hear from sports psychologist. I agree. Like, I think, the Jets were outplayed tonight in terms of possession and expected goals. There's no denying that. I mean, the Oilers probably should have had 1 or 2 goals in the first period, but let's not get too worried here. I still think the Jets are playing pretty well, especially against Dallas. I mean, that was literally as close of a game as you could possibly have, and I think with Chicago coming in, that should be an easy W. Maybe not as easy as some people think, but Drywall Man, send me an email, Ezra@illegalcurve.com, or slide into my DMs on Elon Musk's Hellscape platform, ICSEG. Send me your mailing address, and Tough Duck will send out they're not going to shoot out a toque to you. They're going to send out a toque to you. So Drywall Man, always keeping it real. Always appreciate you watching the IC postgame show.
There you go. Congratulations to Drywall Man for his victory in tonight's Illegal Curve post. In the Tough Duck hardest hitting comment on the Illegal Curve post game show. Something to watch: the health status of Vlad Nemesnikov. He left the game in the third period after getting tangled up with Darnell Nurse. Sounds like it's a lower body issue. Not sure how serious it'll be, but just when you thought the Jets were maybe getting back to health, minus Rasmus Kupari, of course, sounds like Nemesnikov will be keep an eye on him over the course of the next 48 hours. And of course, illegalcurve.com will have all your latest Winnipeg Jets news and audio as we approach Saturday afternoon's matinee against the Chicago Blackhawks. Want to say a big thank you to all of you for joining us. Want to say a big thank you to all of our sponsors for their support of the Illegal Curve post-game show. That's our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club. Ivan Decker in town at Rumors tonight, Saturday and Friday. The early shows are sold out. There's still a few tickets left for the late shows, so get them now if you want, and you do want to get them to see the hilarious Ivan Decker. Big thanks to our friends at Farmery Beer, Rolly's Transfer, Seagram's, Boston Pizza. We're going to be there next Thursday. Put that in your calendars, folks. Make sure you join us next Thursday. Tough Duck. Congrats to Drywall Man for his big win. Betway, they're the title sponsor of the post-game show. Zappia Group Realty, and of course, Dr. Les Rikus and the team at Linden Market Dental Center. Jets lose 3-1 tonight to the Edmonton Oilers. We're next in action on Saturday morning. Yes, Dave, one thing. What do you have?
I think I may have some Moose tickets to give away. Now, I'm not expecting to do it right now on the show, but if you want to go to the Moose game in the IC zone, they're playing Friday and Sunday. Sunday is the RCMP game, so they'll be wearing the specialty jerseys.
I'll take those tickets, Dave.
Sold. But if you want to go to if you want to see the Moose game,
hang on. I'm getting word from the Manitoba Moose. They've revoked the tickets.
Yeah, the IC zone is no more. Yeah. So I'd have to check to see. I know I did give some games away in advance, but I think I still have some for this weekend in the IC zone. So make sure you send me a message, Dave@illegalcurve.com. Nikita Chibrikov, Brad Lambert, Dmitry Kuzmin, a lot of young guys, Danny Zhilkin. Who else am I missing, Ezzy? There's so many prospects.
Remus had Danny Zhilkin on Winnipeg Sports Talk a couple days ago.
Yeah, I didn't appreciate that because I wanted to do I was going to chat with Danny Zhilkin, and then I was told going on Winnipeg Sports Talk. I'm like,
does Dave have Danny Zhilkin exclusivity?
I don't, apparently.
Yeah, he thought he did, and he found out a very rude awakening. He doesn't, in fact.
I did not, in fact, have it.
Dave and Dan Fink have beef now, is by the sounds of it.
No, that would be incorrect. It was not. It was our friend at Fusco Nation, Anthony Fusco.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Hard to keep track. Nonetheless, yes, if you want to go to the Moose game, send Dave a message and he'll be able to hook you up, hopefully. If not for this weekend and whenever he's next got tickets for. So keep it locked on Dave's Twitter feed @ICDave. Keep it locked to Ezzy's Twitter feed @ICSEG. And keep it locked to my Twitter feed if you want the latest on University of Kentucky sports @ICDrew. And of course, we're also on Threads and we're on Blue Sky as well.
I saw that, Drew, that you were doing a little self-promotion. What is that?
Blue Sky is supposedly the platform that is going to, at some point in time, like replace the Hellscape.
No, it's not.
Well, can I finish? Stop interrupting me, Ginsburg, even though I know it's not Ginsburg doing it this time. Anyways, Blue Sky is apparently this platform that's eventually going to allegedly replace the Hellscape, but it's doing a very, very
not you, Phyllis.
slow rollout. And dragging it out. So I have a code I'm Illegal Curve is on Blue Sky. I'm on Blue Sky. I've never really used it. I don't really know what it's all about, but we're there.
Yeah,
I mean, isn't there already too many social media platforms? Like there's already 12 of them. Like, how many more do we need?
7JP7B is asking, what is Thread? Threads is almost like an Instagram version of Twitter, but we just crossed it. Hey, we just crossed the 2,000 followers threshold, so that's not too bad.
I'm pretty sure I don't even follow us on Threads.
Well, never. Then you're missing out.
Threads. Yeah, exactly. It's hard to find the time to keep track of all this all this really important things, not the least bit of nonsense. But nonetheless, that's where you can find us. If you can't find us on
Drew, how's your Mastodon account doing?
I think I even had a Mastodon account briefly. I'm not sure if I still do or not. I don't know. I give up. That's it for me.
Drew's a Build-A-Bear when it comes to social media. Like, just throw out a social media platform and Drew will join it and then never use it.
That's basically, yeah, exactly right. It's like I have it all, but I never use it. And I don't have a TikTok account. I still have never crossed that Rubicon, although I know you have there, Ginsburg.
Well, for Hockey Manitoba, I have I set up a TikTok account, but like personally, like Drew, I'm 41 years old. I'm not somebody who's a tiki talker.
Nor should I be a tiki talker at any point in time either.
Holy Donna, can we end the show for God's sakes? Because we've really gone off the rails.
Okay, goodbye, everybody.
I'd say yes, but I don't really have anything else to do. So let's keep this going.
We'll be back on
post-game show.
We'll be back on Saturday morning at 9 a.m. We appreciate
you,
everyone joining us. If you haven't already done so, smash the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast, leave us feedback here, there, and everywhere, because we always appreciate what you have to say. For Dave Minuk in the top right, for Ezra Ginsburg in the bottom middle, I'm your host, Drew Mindell. Until Saturday morning at 9 a.m. We wish you good night and good luck, and thanks for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show.